Hello, this is the Bleacher Creature. Today I'm going to be reviewing or previewing the Super Bowl 47, I think. It's the one with the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. First off, I'm disappointed that my Patriots didn't make it into the Super Bowl, but to be honest with you, they really didn't deserve to be in the Super Bowl anyways. Let's get out of this. The winner of this game is going to have to control the clock because Joe Flacco, the quarterback of the Ravens, is good enough and that he can make big plays, and so is Kaepernick of the 49ers. If the 49ers can shut down Ray Rice and the Ravens, they should be able to have a bigger advantage because, they're a more talented team right now. The 49ers are younger and they aren't as experienced in a big game, whereas the Ravens are older, but have been in big games before and know about the pressure of the games. So I think, like I said, San Francisco is going to have to stop Ray Rice because if Rice gets running, then the Ravens will control the clock and keep their defense off the field. Even though their defense is great, but it's old. Like I said, Ray Lewis is 17 years in the league. He's not exactly going to be able to run it up and down the field with Frank Gore or Vernon Davis all the time. The Ravens are going to have to keep the ball out of the 49ers' hands. They can't make mistakes and they can't take any penalties because this 49ers offense will kill you. Kaepernick is the reason why. He's not just a guy that can sit back and throw passes. He does that well. But where he has an advantage is when he goes out of the pocket and begins to run. You just can't let a guy like that have the ball for a long time. And he's got weapons like Michael Crabtree, Frank Gore, Vernon Davis, and Randy Moss. Any one of those guys can kill you, pretty easily. I think that the 49ers are going to try to open the game up a little bit more. Maybe, play a little bit less conservative, have more passes and, more deep balls. I think the Ravens defense is going to be put to the test because they don't exactly have a very good secondary except for Ed Reed. If you can get away from Reed, you should not have that many problems on the cornerbacks. The one thing that does matter, though, that is the Ravens have going for them is that they have strong linemen on both offensively and defensively. Playing football on my own, I know that the offensive and defensive line is where it starts. If you don't have those guys working and doing their job, you're not going to get a lot of yards or you're going to give up a lot of points. I personally think that the game will be won if the Ravens can get good push and get some blocking in for Ray Rice. They should have a pretty good game and it should be pretty close. If the 49ers defense can shut down Ray Rice, the Ravens are going to be a little taken back because that's pretty much their offense. They run the ball, then they do play action. In order for play action to work, you have to run the ball first. And if you can't do that, then the play action is kind of meaningless. The other thing is that for the 49ers to win, is that they have to really open it up offensively. They can't, be surgical. They have to take the Ravens down really quickly. They have to get a big lead, like a 14 or 21 point lead, and put the Ravens in a situation they don't want to be in. The big question mark is how much is Randy Moss going to be able to give to the 49ers, because he is a good receiver. He can catch the ball, and this obviously is not his first time in the Super Bowl. If they can get a good game out of him, that makes their offense a lot more dynamic, and it stretches the defense a lot because they got to go after Vernon Davis, Michael Crabtree, and Randy Moss. So Moss might be the deciding factor. The deciding factor for the Ravens is Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is a good quarterback, but he needs to make a big step up in this game. If he wins this game, he's going to have a lot of respect from his coaches, his players, and he does it. He's a good quarterback. He's just not as gifted as like other quarterbacks are. He doesn't read the field very well. He's not very mobile. He does have a cannon arm and can throw the ball deep and on deep routes. But the question is that if they're going to play a bit more conservatively, he's got to hit the short passes because you don't want the clock to stop if you're running conservatively. You want to have as much clock as you can, and that's usually done by running the ball because obviously having an incomplete pass stops the clock. So if they can get some short passes down, they should have some very they have a very good chance. The only thing that differentiates these obviously is that this is weird because it's the first time two brothers have ever met in a Super Bowl, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out because one is more offensively minded and one's a little bit more defensively minded. You also got a very young team like the 49ers going up against a very old team in the Ravens. The Ravens have been there and done that, but do they have enough gas in their tank to keep going, to get that ring? And I'm pretty sure Ray Lewis is going to be fired up for this because he definitely wants to go out with a bang. And he deserves it. He's been in the league 17 years. He's just a great football player. You either love him or you hate him, but you can't deny that he's been an impact on the game. With San Francisco wins, Kaepernick is one step closer to becoming a great NFL quarterback. He has a lot of things going for him. He could throw the ball very accurately, and he could run. This is kind of like if you crossed Michael Vick with Tom Brady. He could beat you when he drops back, and then he could beat you when you're playing too much of his own defense and just run. I think that Kaepernick needs to win to cement himself as a starter because he only came in halfway through the year, and Alex Smith was doing good before he came in. Now, to be honest, Alex Smith is kind of given a bad rap because since his time in San Francisco, he's been through 6 offensive coordinators in like 8 or 9 years. That's not really healthy for a quarterback at all. He also didn't have very much of a receiving core. Now he's kind of like cast aside. I'm pretty sure he'll find work, but it's kind of sad because he never really had a chance. I think that the Ravens are going to come on top because they have the veteran experience and they have a great defensive line, and their defensive line is just solid because they can dominate the trenches. And like I said before, that the battle in the trenches is going to decide this game. You can't. It decides every game, but you can't have all these trick plays if your line's not blocking right. I would predict that the Ravens are going to win, but it's going to be close. It's going to be like 35-30, 24-20. It's going to be 28-24 Baltimore. And that's because I have enough faith in Joe Flacco to come through with winning the Super Bowl. And he's, to be honest with you, of either team that loses has to be proud of themselves that they've made it this far because they had to defeat some really tough teams. The Ravens had to defeat Denver and New England, and I forgot the other team they beat, but they had to beat 2 very good teams, 2 elite quarterbacks to get in. And the 49ers kind of snuck up on everybody. Nobody thought they would be as good as they were last year. And they had to beat teams like Green Bay and They had to beat teams like Green Bay and Atlanta that have hot quarterbacks, and it wasn't an easy road for them. And to be honest with you, I think sometimes when a team goes through the hard roads, the tough times, and when they come out of it, they're actually better than if they went undefeated or cruised through all the games. And I think that's a key factor. You gotta be hungry at this point. Like I said, you gotta be proud that you made it there, but you gotta come back with something. And in this case, I think the Ravens are gonna win. It's gonna be 28-24. And that's my first review, so I'm going to come up with some more reviews when I get the chance. I'm going to peek into the World Baseball Classic, and I'm going to try to keep up on the Major League Baseball hot stove. Maybe I'll do a few NBA games of like who should win. I'm not a big basketball guy, but I gotta, it's, you can't do a sports show without having basketball and hockey. And that's kind of, I think that they're underrated because they do have, basketball and hockey do have intelligence in them. But it's usually with those things where you got one guy like LeBron James, you could pretty much make it to the finals. In football, if you don't have that one player makes the whole team at all. It's just, it's kind of, you have to have every man working at the same time. In basketball, that is true. In hockey, you have the same thing. But if you got Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Dwight Howard on your team, you're probably going to make the playoffs. Unless you manage to screw it up and not sign them again like Cleveland and or trade them away like Orlando. That, you just can't win with that. Well, that's enough for the auxiliary crap. Let's wrap this up. I'm going to say again, the Ravens are going to win. See you later. This is Bleacher Creature.